hope everybody's having a wonderful week this week. If you're traveling, please be safe. And this week, I thought it would be fun to make a tree pop-up card. So this first one I did here is a little pond with a little duck in it. And you can see how the trees kind of stick out here. And I haven't finished these cards completely. Crazy week. So this is the first one. And then this one has the little trees like on this. And then we have two center trees with charms in it. And this is the one we're going to be making today. I'm going to show you how to make both of them, and we're going to do something added something to this card that we're going to be creating. So come on, let's go on and go over to Design Space and let's head over that way. Let's go. Now that we're here in Design Space, we are going to be creating our card, and we're going to do the pop-up trees. So the first thing first, let's go ahead and do these two little brackets here. Okay, so we're going to go up and we are going to get a score line. Aren't these cool new shapes? If you've gotten the new update in Design Space, we've gotten a lot of new shapes we can use now. Okay, now once we have our score line, we want to take that and change it to a basic cut line. Okay, first thing first, excuse me, we want to make this cut line 3/8 of an inch. Let's go ahead and do it in our height, and that's 0.375. Okay, now once we have this, you can choose to work wherever you would like. I don't like putting my lines over here because I can't really see it, so I'm going to work at 1. Okay, so I'm going to put my X on 1 and my Y at 2. Now, excuse me, now that we have this place where we want it, let's go ahead and duplicate it again. And once we have it duplicated, we are going to turn it 90 degrees. Now, we know we're on 1, so let's go ahead and put our X on 1. And then we're at 3/8 of an inch long, so we can do our Y at 2.375 if you're working in the same area I am. Okay? So once we have that, we have like an L. Now what we can do is duplicate the score line that's vertical. So let's duplicate it. And we're going to place it right here on the 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so let's go up to 1.375, and we know it needs to go up to 2 inches because we're working on the 2-inch line. All right, and we have our little U. Now grab that, and we're going to hit group. Okay, now once we have that, let's go ahead and duplicate it. And we want it facing the other way like this right here. So let's go up, hit flip, flip vertical. There we go. Now, we want to place this on 5/8 of an inch. So we know this is going to be placed 1 for our X, and then our 2, our Y, we're going to place on 2 and 5/8 of an inch. So that'll be 2.625. And then we have our little U's. And what this is what we're going to attach our trees to. So let's go ahead and grab both of those and hit attach. Now we are going to need a set of 3 of these. I shouldn't say a set, 3 total. So let's go ahead and hit duplicate. Okay. Now we can go ahead and just grab these and hit group for now and then move them to the side. Now we're going to be working on this square here. So let's get a square. And make sure you get a square, not the one with the round edges, unless you want to do that one. And I'm going to change my color. Do red this time. And we want to make it 9 1/4 by 6. So let's go ahead and hit the unlock button. And then we're going to do 9 1/4 by 6. Okay. Now we need a score line in the middle. So let's go to shapes, get a score line. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. We're going to make it 9 1/4 inches long. Grab them both, hit a line and center, and then we have it in our center. Now let's grab both of them and make sure we're working in the corner properly. So we want both the X and the Y on 0. So we can line everything up properly. Okay. Now once we have that, let's go and get our little U's that we made. And let's go ahead and ungroup them. So once we have our first bracket, we're going to go up and center these across our horizontal line. Okay, so I already know that for our Y it needs to be at 2.5 for all of them. Okay, and then this needs to be at 2.155. Okay. Now let's get another one and bring it over here. And we already know the Y is at 2.5. So we can change that. And then for the X position, it needs to be at 4.451. So let's change that. So 4.451. And then we have that one in place. Let's get our last one. We'll go and put the Y on 2.5. And then we want to position the X at 6.669. Okay, 6.669. Because we don't need to add anything else to this. We can grab everything and hit attach. Okay, and then we can move this over. Now what we can do is get a square. We're going to be making these pieces over here, which is going to go on the top of our car. So let's go to shapes, get a square. And one is going to be 3 3/4 of an inch by 9, 3.75 by 9 inches. And I'm using red today. And then our other piece is going to be 4 by 9 1/4. So you can get a square or duplicate the one you have here, unlock it, and do 4 by 9 1/4. And then send this one to the back, align and center, and we are going to need a total of 2 of these. So we can group that. Take this one and hit group. And now we have our card base and what we need for our card. So here comes the fun part. So this is going to be the first thing we need to create. So how we're going to do this to make our tree is get triangles. And this first triangle here is the one I'm going to be using. Move these up. Okay, so how I got these is just by changing the dimensions of it. So our top triangle needs to be 2 inches by 1.732. So if we just highlight it, unlock it, shouldn't have to unlock it. Let's see. Oh, perfect. That's what we're starting with. So the first one you should get, it should be the exact measurement you need. But again, it's 2 by 1.732. Now we can duplicate our triangle. Once we duplicate it, let's change it to 2.806 by 1.885. Now, our last one, let's hit duplicate, and you're going to unlock it, and it's 3.63. So 3.63 by 2.013. 2.013. Now, if you want these wavy lines, this is how I got it. I went to shapes. I got this shape right here. I turned it up like so, and I spreaded it out. I made it big. Then once I got it to where I wanted it, how I liked it, all I did was line it up here, grab these both, and hit slice. And then I got these little points here. You could also use, to show you, if you don't have this, we could take circles. We could even do these oval ones. Turn it this way. Grab them all, hit weld, and you're going to have this wavy thing. Then you grab your triangle and your creation you just made and hit slice. And there you have it. And what we need to do is we're going to make this. We cannot work in our corner here. So I'm going to, let's position your, oh dear, your triangle at your first, the smallest one. We're going to put the X on 1.025 and then your Y on 0.576. Okay? Then once we have that, we're going to take our second one, position it, the X on 0.594 and your Y on 1.387. And then get your last one, going to position it at 0.195 for your X and your Y at 2.048. We're going to grab all three of them, okay? And we're going to hit weld. And we have our little tree. Now what we need to do is resize it to this. So let's go ahead and resize it to 3.433. And it should have changed it to 3.258 for your other side. But if it didn't, let's do that. 3.258. And then we should have our tree. Isn't that cute? Alright, so we've gotten that done. Now our next thing to do is to create this. Now how we're going to do that is we're going to duplicate this tree. We're going to size it to this. So it needs to be sized down to 1.984. And then the height should be 2.3. Once we have this, we're just going to grab them both and hit align and center. We are going to need another one of these trees, the big tree. So on the big tree, hit duplicate, and we're just going to set this aside. Uh-oh. Grab them both and hit slice. Now you should have this tree and two little trees. And don't get rid of this one of the little trees. We need to keep that. What we need to do is make our stump, okay? So how we can do that is let's go get a square. Let's change the square to 0.347 by 694. 0.694. Okay. Now, if we take this and hit and then align center bottom, we're almost to the bottom. And we just want to scoot it down for it to be at, if we have it up here at the top, it's going to be 2.877. Now once you have that, we can hit grab them both, your little tree trunk and your tree, and let's hit weld. And there we have our tree with the stump. Okay, isn't that cool? Now that we have this one finished, done with this one, we need to get our big tree again. So let's duplicate it. Okay, now this is going to be one of our first trees we're going to use to make our trees. Now we need to make this slot in the middle. I'm just going to scooch this over. And so let's get a square, and we're going to make it 0.8 by 2. Unlock it, 0.08 by 2. Okay, and all we're going to do is grab them both, align, and center, and we have it exactly in place. Now you can go ahead and slice mine. So then we have our nice little slit. Okay, so now we're going to get our small tree that came out of our center, which is this one here. And we want to make it, if it's not already, it should be, but it should be at 1.984 in width and the height at 2.3. And then I want you to position your X at 0 and your Y at 1/4 of an inch. Then we're going to get our little notch for the top. Okay, going to make that notch 0.042, and in height you're going to make it 0.24. Okay, and then once you have that, you are going to position that notch on the X 0.971 and then your Y on 0.18. Then once you have that, grab them both and hit slice. And those slice pieces, you can just move or delete however you would like to do it. Okay, now again, making sure your X is on 0 and your Y is on 1/4 inch. We're going to get another notch, and we are going to make that notch 0.24 by 0.042. And then we are going to position the X at 0.971 and your Y at 2.345. And once you have that, grab them both and hit slice. And we can get rid of those. Now our final item that we need is this piece right here, and it is 0.059 in width, and in height it's in height it's 1.472. Okay, then you're going to position it at 0.963 and your Y at 0.664. And then grab them both and hit slice. And then we should have this piece. Now we can move that over to here. But we'll need to get a small tree. We need to resize it, and it needs to be 1.762 by 2.042. And again, I'm working my X at 0 and the Y at 0.25. So once I have that, let's get a notch, and we are going to make it 0.093 by 0.333. Then we need to position the X at 0.834 and the Y at 2.05. And then grab them both and hit slice. And we can get rid of that. Okay, and then we need to get another notch, and we want to make it 0.093 by 0.333. And we're going to position the X at 0.834 and your Y at 0.25. Then you're going to grab them both and hit slice. And then you should have this. And that's our last piece that we need. So to make this tree, you'll need 2 of these pieces and then 1 of each of these. Okay? To make the tree that I showed you with the pond on it, I used 3 of these trees. So if you want to make that card, you would just duplicate this a total of 3 times. Okay? And this is a larger tree. So to get the next trees we're going to be making, grab your trees of this and hit align in center and then group. Once you have this, let's duplicate it. Okay. Now, if you want to, again, if you want to make that first card, that's this size tree that I used. For the card we're going to be making today, I wanted them a little smaller. So we're going to change it to 3.046. And let's unlock it. And we want our height to be at 3.147. Okay. Now, to make that tree, let me ungroup this so you can see. I shouldn't say tree card. You're going to need 1 set of what we have here already, and then we'll need an additional 4 of these. So you need to cut out a total of 6 of these. Okay? So this is everything right here that needs to be cut for the card we're going to be making. So you know this, I would take this, hit align and center, and then I'm just going to change it to green because I know this is going to be my smaller group, and group it. Okay, for our tree trunks, we are going to get a square and make it 3/8 of an inch by 3/8 of an inch and change it to brown. And if you're making 3 trees, I like to put mine on the front back of my trees. You don't have to, but you'll need a total of 6. For this card we're going to be making, we're going to need, if you're going to do front and back, you'll need a total of 8 of these tree trunks. Once you have your 8, you can go ahead and group them and set them aside. Now the only other thing I was going to show you guys how to make really quickly is the charms. And you can use anything you want to put in your tree. As you can see, this snowflake is 0.822 by 0.845. I wouldn't go any bigger than that, so less than an inch. And how I made it was, you can go find an image. So I'm going to do a leaf. I'm just going to take this leaf, add it, and I'm going to shrink it down to where I think will work. And then I took a circle that was 0.444, and of course it's 444 in height. And then I took another circle that is 2.278 in width and height. And then you're going to take them both and hit align and center, and then slice, and then you have your ring. Okay, then I took and made me a notch that is 0.069 by 0.222. And once you have that, I just aligned, centered, and then I click on my circle, and then I'm going to move it up until it's just where it's on the rim here. And then once I had that, I hit weld. Once you have it welded, and say I want my leaf just like so, I took my leaf and my little ring holder and I hit weld, and then I have a little charm. Okay, so guys, we have everything we need to make our card. So get your items cut and come on back and let's put it together. I'll see you over at the table. Okay guys, now that we have all of our pieces cut out, let's go ahead and get started. So let's get your card base out that has the 6 slots cut in it. Okay, what we're going to do on these little tabs here is we're going to put tear and tape. And if you don't have tear and tape, that's okay. You can wait until we get to this part and you can just use glue. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we got this done, we can set this aside and let's get our trees out. So if you're doing the same one I'm doing, I have 3 sets of these trees, and then this is the pieces that goes inside of here. Also, I just want to say the pieces that came out of the center of these, keep them. We're going to use 2 of these, okay? So let's put our trees together. So first thing we're going to do is you can put some tear and tape on the corners of these right here of your tree. And this is the only place we are going to be putting tape. And once we do that, let's put this together. So this piece goes like so, and we're going to slip it inside the bottom inside first, and then our points up here, we can just bend it down just a little and slide it through. And then I just lifted my little piece up back on that side. Okay? Then once you have that, we're going to turn it so we have a slot right here. Then this piece goes in the bottom first. Now what we are going to have to do on this piece is fold our little corner down on one side. So we're going to fold this down like so. And then you're just going to work it through here like that. And then we'll just push it back up on that side. Okay? So then we have this cute little tree. Now what we'll do is we'll take one of your trees, it doesn't matter which one, and we're going to take the piece of tape off. And if you're not using tape, just use a little glue at the top of your tree. And then what we're going to do is feed the tree through like so, and then we're just going to line our tree up. Okay, and this is what we should have. Now before we go on, I'm going to go ahead and place a little tape on each side of my tree. Let's go ahead and do that. These are the ones we're going to put our charms in, so we might add a little bit more tape or glue if we need to. So we got tape on these. Let's take our board here and let's go ahead and score it down the middle. So once we have it scored down the middle, we can get this tree here that we have. And it doesn't matter which side you start on. Just make sure this one with the stump on it is pointing to towards you, okay? And we're gonna flip this piece forward like so, And then what we're going to do is take our tape off and fold it to the trunk of our tree. So try to get it centered, and then once you have it in place, we're just going to push it down. And then it should look like so. Okay? Now for this piece, we're going to go this way and do the same thing. You want to make sure your tape is facing the inside, okay? So not on this side, on the inside of our score line. We're going to do the exact same thing. Take the tape off. Fold this forward. Center it to the best as we can. And now what we're going to do is take the tape off here. And the great thing about this card is we can fold this in half like so and be able to push our tree up to line it without our card in the way, and we'll be able to line it up very easily. And then once you have it lined up, there we have it. We have our first little tree. Isn't that cute? Now what we can do is move on to these right here. And what I chose to do for mine is I'm just going to use some string. I cut my string about 3 inches. You're probably not going to need that much. And then I'm going to take it through the loop. And that's if you guys are doing a charm. As you can see with my other 2 cards, you don't have to. And if you're doing it this way, you could do 3 trees like that. So I'm just tying a knot. Once I have the knot, I scooch this back so it's in the center, and then I snip this end off, one of the ends, okay? And then once I do that, I take this tape off, and this is where we might need a second piece of tape. It just depends. I think I'm going to go ahead and get that piece of tape. And this is just so I can feed my string or whatever you're using on here to make it stay. So what you want to do is line it up in the center where you would like it to dangle. Okay. And I think I like mine about, I'll set it down right there. So with my extra, just to make sure it's staying in place, what I'm going to do is just push it down on the sticky of the tape. And then I'm going to cut it off. And then what I'll do is take another piece of tape and just go over the top of it. Okay. And we can take that little piece off. Get all of our tape on the inside so we don't see it. Then we can go ahead and do the same thing again. Push this tab forward, take our tape off, and then center it and put it down. Now you want to make sure your tape is facing this way to the back of the card. And this tree is going to touch this tree. Okay? And there we have it, guys. Isn't that the cutest? So now what we can do is, you can see that it will lay down very nicely, and it opens very nicely. So cute. Okay, so the next thing what we can go ahead and do is, I'm going to take my card bases and go ahead and glue them on top of each other. So let's do that. Okay, now that we've done that, we can glue our front of our card on. And the reason why we're using a card like this is because if we use a regular card, we wouldn't be able to lay this flat. So what we'll do is take this edge and we're going to line it up with our back edge back here, okay? All right, so it should look like that. Now we can go ahead and put our other one on. And there we have it, voila. Now what we can do is, you can take your little round tree trunks and we can glue it or tape it to our trunk of our tree. So let's go ahead and do that. And then all we're gonna do is take it and put it right down on our tree trunk. Like so. So let's go ahead and do those. Okay, the next thing we can do is get a piece of tape, a glue dot, or glue, and what we're gonna do so these don't get caught up on each other is, right here we're gonna lift this little tree edge up, and we're gonna put a little glue, and then we're just gonna push it together, and then that just keeps this little part of the tree in place. And we're gonna do that to each one to adhere it to the other, okay? You have that done. We can do our last little trees. Now, this is not necessary, but I think it's cute to add it. I'm gonna put my little tree trunk on here. And this is the one that came out of the center of your tree here. Now make sure you have this, if you're going to add these trees, to which is your front and your back. So I want this side to be this side to be my front, okay? Because it's not going to have a tree on the back. I guess you could put one on each side. So now what we're gonna do is just pop this little, turn it so you can see it. We have this tree that we've made, and we're gonna pop that tree right there and just glue, put a little glue here and adhere it, and make sure you're not going over this edge over here. And I like to lift it up just a little so it's not catching on the card when you open and close it, okay? Put me a little glue dot on here. And I have my tree just a little bit up off. Making sure it's not sticking out. And it's not. And then I'm going to add another one at this end too. I'm going to pick a different colored tree. Put it on your tree, and just make sure you're not coming too far over past this edge here. And there we have it. So we have 2 more additional trees on here. So now let's go ahead and decorate it, and then come on and come back and let's see what we've come up with. Okay guys, this is what my card ended up turning out like. It says, "Baby, it's cold outside." And I added some snowflakes to it. And then you open it up. And this says, "There's snowman like you." And then the front of it, I ended up putting a little snowman here. And down here you can write a message. And that's it, guys. We did it. I just want to say thanks for crafting with me, and I'll see you next time.